Hi, I'm Steve Eichmann. I'm just here to show you a little bit about how I make some of the photographs that I make. I make them by grafting various plants onto other plants. Grafting has been around for thousands of years. Frequently farmers have taken apple trees and grafted on peach stems so that they will grow both apples and peaches. This is relatively normal in today's industrial world. Frequently people want to have a hardier root stock and they want to have a different fruit growing off of it, so there are actually machines, robots that will automatically graft tomato plants, for example, from the one root stock to one fruit stock, etc. Usually they graft the entire plant, and they of course want the plant to live. What I'm going to try to do today is to just get these two flowers to graft to one another so that it will appear as if there's an entire bouquet growing off of one root stock. My flowers have a tendency to not live as long. I'm not trying to get them to live as long. I just want them to live long enough for the photograph. The type of graft that I'm going to make is I'm going to try to graft this calla lily onto this other lily. The intra-species grafting seems to work out much better. I'm not a scientist. What I do is I just try a bunch of different plants to see which ones end up working out the best. So we'll see what happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this calla lily onto this lily stalk. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to simply try to cross graft them. So essentially I'm going to make an incision here, try to get them to cross, try to get this plant to begin feeding this flower. Then I'm going to wait for about 3 or 4 days, then I'm going to cut this flower off and see whether or not this grafted to it. So all I need to do is make an incision here. I want to make sure I don't cut all the way through the plant, but I do want to cut pretty well into it. Like that. Then I'm going to take calla lily, cut into it like that. Then I take a little bit of this antibiotic ointment. I don't know if it helps, but it sure seems to help the plants grow a little bit or helps the graft take. So I'm going to put a little bit of this antibiotic ointment over here, and a little bit over here. They make special grafting ointments just for grafting in plants that really help them grow. I haven't found them to be that particularly useful. Then I'm going to take a piece of aluminum foil that I found secures the plants quite well while allowing the wounds to breathe a little bit. So now I'm just trying to get the two flowers to merge into one another. I'm just going to cover it with this bit of aluminum foil. And I'm going to take this tape and tape this together. Now I'm going to leave this for 3 or 4 days. I might come back and have to readjust it to make sure that the wound is really tightly sealed. And then we'll see whether or not this flower has correctly grafted onto that. That's about it. After about 4 days, if just the beginning of a connection is made, then I can remove the other flower and I can remove this other scion, and we can see if the entire graft comes together. That's about it. Okay, bye. Okay, it's been a couple days, and meanwhile one of the lily head that we had just fell off, just rotted off. So that was that. That obviously didn't graft onto the calla lily head, but we're going to take a look and see how well the other graft has gone from the calla lily onto this other lily. Now it doesn't ever seem to really take perfectly until it looks like it's pretty looks like I've got a couple places where it's connected. So I'm going to completely remove the calla lily now. Not trying to break those. Oh shoot. Yikes. Trying to break the few connections that have been made. You see, this is just really delicate right here. There you go. So this calla lily will probably live on this lily head for a little bit of time. Oh, it's really weak. So I've got to reseal this to keep the graft up. At least for another day. At least for another day. And then I'll try to get the graft going for other flowers on other parts of this lily. That's it. Looks like it's gonna work. Okay. Okay, bye. Okay, so it's probably been about a week since I first started trying to do this, a little more than a week. I've now been able to get a couple of grafts to work, and I'm all set up to actually take the photograph. This is the way I set up the photograph. I suspend the flowers, set up my light. I do all my shooting with this Hasselblad H2 camera. I shoot a digital file and then bring it over to my computer immediately, where I begin editing the file. So the image is completely digital. So this seems to be where people get confused. The whole image is digital. It's digitally outputted, and I do use Photoshop, of course, to process the image, to work on the tonality. I'll probably come in here and clean up any little errors that there are. Of course, I'm going to remove the wires. I'm going to clean up the background. So the final image is heavily photoshopped, but the flowers themselves are real flowers. It's not a digital flower. They're all grafted on. They don't live as long as like a normal graft. Most people, when they try to graft one plant onto another, they're actually hoping the plant will live for a long time. This plant will probably only last another week or so, probably, maybe 2 weeks. But it'll certainly live for a little bit. And so I'm shooting it so that you can see the flowers, you can see the root structure, and of course now I'm going to go in and try to aesthetically arrange it so that it makes for the best photograph. So that's it. That's how I make my photographs. So it is all digital, along with hybrid science.